It's Rich Big Daddy Salgado, and we want to welcome everybody to Big Daddy and Friends. And today's guest, I'm so honored. I'm humbled. I don't know. I'm speechless because we've developed such a great relationship throughout the years, and not only are we friends, we also do business together. And I look up to you because you're the NFL insider, NFL, not know-it-all. I don't want to put that kind of pressure on you, but that's a big topic and title to have. But anyway, everyone, this is Jim Trotter. So welcome aboard.
Big Daddy, I'm humbled and honored that you would have me on your podcast, one of your early guests. So, I'm a big fan of you like everyone else, and we all have love for you. So anything I can do to help to push that Big Daddy brand and to get out the positivity, I'm here for. So again, couldn't be more honored and humbled to be on your show.
And well, thank you. And I see you got your Huddle and Flow shirt on. I haven't got any Big Daddy shirts yet made up, but I can go back to that world that I used to be. I'll get there one day. But
my partner Steve Weiss came up with it. He shocked me with it. He just said one day, "Give me your address. I got something to send you." And so he had these made up, which I was like, nice. So yeah, he deserves all the credit for it.
Well, I would say normally I'm a 4X, but now that I'm down to a 3X, when you get to the 3Xs, keep me in mind. I'll sport one as well.
I love it. We'll not only have you sport one, Big Daddy, we'll have you on. How's that?
Well, great. Thank you.
No? Yeah, no. When we get to that the off season where we're doing the business, you're the perfect kind of guest for us. So your invitation will be coming.
Oh, well, thank you. So, it's funny. This is a whole different world for me. Obviously, I've gotten the experience of, doing TV and interviewing and whatnot through Fox News and all that. But now to, Big Daddy and Friends, I want to bring all my friends on and really tell stories and discuss beginnings, middle of the road, possible endings, and so on and so on. So, for you and I, we met, I'd have to say a good, 15 years ago or so, something around, I don't even know anymore. I can't even keep track. I would have to say 2009, 2010, somewhere around there.
Big Daddy, I think, our first run-in, I believe, was even before that. It was at the scouting combine, and I didn't know you. And I think I was talking with Michael Smith, and you were, you happened to walk up, and you knew Michael or know Michael, and you guys had a conversation. When you left, I was like, "Who's that?" Like, "Oh, you don't know Big Daddy? Everybody knows Big Daddy." And I was like, "No," I said, "I don't." So that was sort of my first introduction to you. And then, it just went from there. But I'll say this for folks who don't know, if there's one person who I want to say literally, and I know that's an exaggeration, but knows everybody in the NFL, is Big Daddy, is you. So I was like, man, that takes a lot to know. It's not only to know everybody, Big Daddy, but it's to be respected by everybody and to be liked by everybody. And that says something to your character that people, like you, not only like you, but trust you. Because as you know, in this business, trust is hard to come by, particularly on a broad level with so many people. So again, that's a credit to you. So you should feel really good about that.
Well, thank you for your kind words. And you know what it is? I think I'm always a true believer. If I know an answer, I'll give it to you. If I don't have an answer for you, I'll go find it. If it's either black or white. There's no gray. There's no, maybe or whatnot. I think that's really, and when I say I'm going to do something, I 99% of the time will do it. and if I can't do something, I will say, you know what, I don't think I can do it, or nor do I want to do it for whatever the reason. And I think people respect that.
Oh, no question. I think it's like with an athlete, with a coach. They may not like what you say, but they like the fact that you're honest with them. And I think that's people in general. We always talk about sport being a microcosm of society. And I think many of the relationships and things that go on within sport, you can apply that same principle to. So I always appreciate that, when people tell me, look, I can or I can't, I'll try. But all I ask, and this is the sort of the motto, the credence that I try and live by, is that if I tell you I'm going to do something, then I do everything I can to make sure it happens. Because I'm one of those firm believers that your word is bond. So if you tell someone you're going to attempt to do something, or that you will do something, that you're going to be available, whatever, then you follow through on it. That to me is so critical.
For a lot of people that are watching this interview that don't know, I'll give a little bit of, your highlights, so to speak. Jim
That'll be short.
Yeah.
That'll be short.
No, what are you kidding me? Jim Trotter is a proud graduate of Howard University. That I do know. I know, the Bison. And we met when you were at SI, when you were writing at Sports Illustrated, actually. That's when we first met. And then you went to ESPN, and then ESPN to NFL Network.
Yes, sir.
So they took my guy from the East Coast, put him back on the West Coast. I wasn't too happy, but oh well.
That's where he belongs, Big Daddy.
No, I hear you.
He belongs.
Whatever's best for you is what I'm happy for. So so that was good. And then, I not knowing, but I know you're the president of the NFL Football Writers Association.
I was at one point. Interesting story with that. So I was elected president of the Pro Football Writers of America. And at the time I was at ESPN, and it's a 2-year term. And halfway through the term, I left ESPN to go to NFL Network, and was informed at that time by the PFWA that if you work for the league, you cannot not only not be an officer for PFWA, but you cannot even be a member of PFWA. So I had to relinquish my position and my membership in the PFWA, which really was disappointing to me, because the reality is, in my mind, and I've said this to the leadership of the PFWA now, is I'm fighting for the same things now I was fighting for when I was at SI, or when I was at ESPN, or when I was at the San Diego Union. You know, access is something that's critical to reporters, no matter where you are. And I find it interesting that people, there's still this perception that because you work for NFL Network, or even if you're a member of a club, that you have this exclusive access that others don't, and that you're treated a certain way favorably. And I'm here to tell you, is at least in my case, I can only speak for myself, that is not the case. You know, the fight for access is the same now as it was a year ago, 2 years ago, or a decade ago. And I don't envision that changing.
I used to get a lot of flack for the access that I had, you know, and
we wish we had your access. Even today, we wish we had your access. You know that.
It's that's why it was funny. I was asked to go, I won't name game or whatnot, and I go to a game, and all of a sudden, I get about 4 text messages. Dude, what are you doing down on the field? And, you know, and like, there's coronavirus and all this stuff and blah, blah. And I didn't even respond, because I knew someone would say, I can't go, but Big Daddy, you can go. Like,
wait, let's be for real here for a minute, Big Daddy. Now, this is how much access and clout Big Daddy has. So you see that jersey over your shoulder there, your left shoulder, that Tom Brady jersey? Most folks would have to go out to a charity event and try and purchase an autographed jersey of Tom Brady. But somebody like Big Daddy, I'm going to sit here and wager that all Big Daddy had to do was walk up to Tom and say, hey, Tom, can I get you to sign this? And there would be no problem from Tom. Am I wrong, Big Daddy?
You're not wrong at all.
See?
And I'll tell you one even better. You see the other jersey, Barry Sanders, right?
Yes, sir.
So obviously, you know, Mike Newsom is my best friend and brother to me. He was working at the league at the time, and it was Barry's last year of playing. So Mike comes to me and says, "Man, I need your help." And I'm like, "Sure. What's the story?" He goes, "Well, I got to get Barry to sign these 10 jerseys for the league." I go, "Oh boy, here we go." So I call Barry up at this suite up at the Hilani, and I'm like, hey, B, I got to come up and see you. Yeah, come on up, Big Daddy, blah, blah. I'm like, so the whole elevator ride, I'm like, I could have used like 3 towels because I'm trying to think of how am I going to pull this one off. So I get up there, and I got this little knapsack, and we start BSing, and about 15 minutes into the conversation, I said, Barry, look, I need a favor. Sure, Big Daddy. What's the favor? I go, can you sign a couple of jerseys for me? Really? For you? I'm like, yeah. Well, I go, look, before we get any, it's not 2 jerseys or 3. It's 10. 10? What are you like? What are you going to go hawk my jersey on the street? I go, no. I said, look, I need this done for my boy. This is his job, and he needs this signed. Just do it for me. I know you may have your issues and whatever. I've never asked you before. So he says to me, he goes, all right, you said there was 10 there? I said, yeah, there's 10. He goes, no, there's 7. I go, wait a minute. No, there's 10. He goes, no, there's 7. 2 for me, 1 for you. So that jersey is a Pro Bowl jersey, the last one. And it's white and blue, but it has the Lions logo on the shoulder. And he goes, I want you to have this. And he didn't even sign it to me. He just signed it.
Wow.
So out of respect to him, I would never sell that jersey or give it away or anything. I framed it, and that's why it's behind me. I have a few others.
Big Daddy, not many people can tell a story like that.
Yeah, it was a funny story, a fun time. And then, I remember coming down from Barry's suite and Mike waiting for me. And I'm like, hey, Noose, I got good news and I got bad news. There's only 7 in here. What happened to the other 3? Go talk to Barry. I'm out of it. I got the job done, and that's it. And fine.
What's the line, Big Daddy? Beggars can't be choosers, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Got to be happy with what you got. So
because he would come in, and the players would all go to that one room to sign everything and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Barry would just right to the elevator, go up to his room, and that's how he was. So whatever. Luckily, I was fortunate enough to have a friendship.
See, but that speaks to relationships, Big Daddy, and trust. So again, that is a credit to you, because people don't understand on the outside, when you reach a certain level, particularly as a professional athlete, and you have so many people coming at you, and you have so many people who present themselves as being authentic, but they have ulterior motives and whatnot, that athletes begin to form sort of a shell.
Yeah.
And that circle, if they're smart, that circle gets smaller and smaller in terms of who they can trust and who they want to relate to. So, for a guy like Barry Sanders, obviously that circle is going to be really small and really tight. For you to be a part of it, that says something. So, again, credit to you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, he's class act, and we see each other wherever we run into each other, and we get a chuckle and we say our quick hellos and whatnot. And I have to, and you know what, I have to say this because you brought Barry up. You got the beautiful background there, golf, I guess, course overlooking the Pacific Ocean, most likely.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes, sir.
We have to get Barry at the Big Daddy Celebrity Golf Classic this year. I'm going to reach out to him and have him bring his golf game because he supposedly has a pretty good one.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that'd be awesome, man. This is a picture I took about 2 weeks ago from Torrey Pines, which is going to host the U.S. Open in 2021. And obviously I live in San Diego, so I don't play the course a lot because I live down in the South Bay, which is outside of the city limits, which means that I have to pay the non-resident rate, which if you know Torrey Pines, it's not cheap.
No,
so I limit the times that I go, but it just so happened that like I hadn't played golf in about a year for two reasons. One, you know, Big Daddy, I started to put on a little weight, so clothes weren't fitting right and all of that. And we only have so many hours in a day, so I had to make a choice about priorities. And I decided that I needed to get back in the gym and start, you know, as I get older, try and stay in shape a little bit. And that took away the golf time. And then when I was at a point where I finally felt like physically that I was where I wanted to be, COVID hits. And so we're not going out, you know, and we're not being around people. Well, after what now? I think the last time I had traveled was mid-March. And here we are in November now, but it was October. And I said, you know what? I'm going stir crazy. I got to be able to get out. And so what I do is now at least once a week now, I'll try and play golf again, and no carts, any of that. I walk the course wherever I'm at and keep my distance. And that's sort of, for me, that escape and that way of keeping my sanity. Because that's the one thing I found. I don't know about you, Big Daddy, and others you talk to, but for me, the mental health aspect of this pandemic, I think, is sort of underreported and under-recognized. And I believe in talking about these things and being so that we can all see that we're not different, that we all go through the same things. And I'm going to tell you, halfway through this thing, there was a point for me where it was really difficult psychologically, that when you're accustomed to traveling, you're accustomed to being in front of people, you're accustomed to going out to eat or going to a movie, which is something I love to do, and you're unable to do any of those things. I found myself psychologically being in sort of a down place and had to try and find a way out of it. And fortunately, after, you know, a couple of weeks and whatnot and realizing some things I could do to help, I did find my way out of it. But golf, as you see, you know, is one of those things that helped me. And you know, I'm looking forward to your golf tournament without question, because it definitely is a highlight the last time we played out there at Oheka Castle.
Yeah, it's a lot of people are, and it's funny. The guest wish list is already getting long, and you know,
I would not want to be you. Yeah, I would not want to be you.
It's funny, but I'll handle that. I'll cross that bridge when I have to. Right now, we just got to get through this month here, and hopefully get things back on track sooner than later. But I could feel the, you know, just the way you said. I'll never forget. I was on the phone with a girlfriend of mine, and she said to me, "You sound like you're running, like you sound like you're sucking wind." And that was like for 3 days straight. And I was kind of hiding whatever I was feeling, whatnot. And she said to me, "You need to go to one of those, you know, little medical place. I forget what they're called, medevacs or whatever." So I went in, and the guy said to me, "You need to go get a chest X-ray." So as I walk to the house, as I go to the hospital and I park, the walk from the garage to the front door was probably about 100 yards, maybe a little bit more. And I had to stop twice to catch my breath.
Wow.
So I knew something was wrong. And as soon as I went in, they're like, "You're checking in." And I was like,
wow.
"What?" So I spent 3 nights or 3 days, and luckily I didn't have to have any medicine or you know, be put on a ventilator and all that. I did need oxygen, and then I was shipped home, and then that took me about 4 to 5 weeks to really, you know, where I would walk outside and, you know, I would take walks just to get my lungs getting air in them and whatnot. And then I dropped, you know, about 20 something pounds, which I needed to. So I said the coronavirus diet did me well, because, you know, I wasn't eating. And you don't want to laugh. Our favorite pizzeria was Umberto's was sending me food.
No, no.
Yeah, I'm getting grandma pizza and all this other stuff. And I'm like, oh, I can't even eat it. I'm looking at it like, oh man, my neighbors or friends, someone has to come over and eat this because I don't want to throw it away. It's a shame. And they were generous and kind to do that. So, and then one of my dear friends, his name's Hitesh Patel. He big football fan, big Giants fan, and we've been friends for a couple of years now. He first he brought me food over, which was kind and generous of him and his family. But then we decided once the gyms opened up, we're going to work out every day. So we go 5:30, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. We work around our schedules. And since the end of July till now, I'm doing something that I never in my lifetime would envision. And that was being able to be on the elliptical for an hour.
Nice.
And doing it on a regular, consistent basis.
You look good, Big Daddy.
Yeah, so 60 pounds I've dropped.
Nice.
Sort of, I call it Coach Shatesh's bootleg, what do you call it, boot camp workouts.
I don't know. See, I don't know about you, but for me, working out that early is hard from the standpoint, not getting up or anything like that, but like I like to eat a little before I work out just to have something in my system for energy and whatnot. And I find when I go really early in the morning, I don't have that same energy level to kind of push through certain things. Because the thing I've gotten into during the pandemic, like so many others, is the Peloton bike.
Yeah.
And, I'll ride that thing 5 times a week, if not more. And I find that I do best with it if I go around the lunch hour or later in the afternoon, as opposed to in the morning. I mean, do you notice that your energy level is different depending on the time of day that you work out?
Well, we do it every morning. So for me, what I'm doing is I'm using like the bodybuilder approach where you're going to use whatever fat you have on you to burn off. That's your fuel. So by doing it on an empty stomach, for me, it's worked out perfect because I've lost a bunch of weight. I went to the racks and I picked up, 2 30-pound dumbbells. And I'm like, wow, this is what I've lost. And, you feel the difference because I'm able to get off a couch without having someone, hey, give me a hand, or, push myself off, and some of my clothes. I mean, look at this shirt. This is a 4X. I might be able to squeeze into a 2X, but, I still like the comfort of it. And the diet has been really the whole key as well, because after the workout, I'll have a sensible breakfast, and I'll, some protein shakes are in the middle of that, and some high protein. And a girlfriend of mine got me into juicing, which something that was like, when I told my workout partner, he goes, "What?" I was like, "Yeah." I go, "I'm going to give this juicing thing a shot." So I did it for 3 days before Thanksgiving. And I'll tell you, day 1 was, day 2 was a little bit harder. Day 3, I was ready to not only cook the turkey, but tackle it. But, I got through it, but my energy levels were different, because I guess waking up on a like sort of empty stomach and not having that big whatever food meal in your stomach when you wake up, I'm going to do it again. I'm not one to do juicing with just water or anything like that, because I wouldn't be able to, because of the workouts, how intense they are now, especially because we've added weights and different plyometric exercises. So I'm really, I'm not trying to get rid of the Big Daddy name, but I'm trying to be in shape daddy, live a little bit longer, be healthier, and
you'll get there. You got that.
And have a more positive appearance where I don't get roped into, when I'm around 10 football players, like I'm the 11th one. At least let me, be a sensible person.
No, you're gonna be good, Big Daddy. It's interesting is the things that I learn as I get older of what's really important. And I think you hit a key there when you talked about nutrition. That's a part of the thing I think a lot of us overlook, particularly when we're young. So if we're working out and we feel like we're in shape, that sort of thing. And we don't realize that what we put into our body has as much an impact on the things that we do to it in terms of how we work out. And look, I'm 57 years old now, and I struggle. I have a sweet tooth that's out of this world. And so sugar for me is a serious.
I'm going to hurt you bad when you come here. You know why? I have a client. They own a bakery. It's called Carnally Bakery.
See?
They make the best bread and desserts on Long Island.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold you to that.
Yeah. You know, listen, we do our thing. When you come in earlier and we go to our little, rendezvous spot to eat, the last time, remember, we went, remember Robert Davi was there, the actor. We were on Broncos, and everybody's like, what are you doing with all these guys? I'm like, well, they're friends of mine. They're all in for the golf outing. So yeah, I will take you there to try that, those delicacies. I go there daily, almost. They're good, but I don't eat. If I go in the bakery part, it's to pick up something for somebody else.
No, I eat, Big Daddy.
I eat. Listen, I'm not saying that I'm giving up on food, but I'm watching in moderation. But anyway, now let's get back to talking football since we talked about
who cares about football? We're good with this other stuff, Big Daddy.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess one of the big things that I'm always thinking about is, you have all these games being canceled, or not canceled, but being moved and shifted around and whatnot. What do you think about the NFL pushing back against adding another week to the season? Because it's unfair to some of these teams. Look at the Steelers. They lost their bye,
Yeah, but, here's my thing about this, Big Daddy. Like when the Steelers were griping about losing a bye or their schedule being moved a couple of times and whatnot, and my whole thing was, do you realize just how ridiculous you sound? Is it an inconvenience? No question. But we've got over nearly 300,000 people that have died from this virus. We've got over 12 million who are infected by it. The cases, new cases per day, they're at an all-time high on average. And so what I'm saying is, I get that having your schedule rearranged or losing a bye is an inconvenience and all of that. But think about the alternative and have a little perspective here. The fact that you are still able to make your living, which a lot of people are not able to do today because of this pandemic. I mean, small businesses are struggling. So many are going under. So you are still able to make your living, and you have your health, which is paramount in this situation, unlike some, again, who have died or lost loved ones. So that's the only thing that I would ask of the Steelers and some of these others who might complain. And here's the other thing. Before this season started, number one, we talk about the league doing this, that, and the other. The players agreed to this. Yeah. This is not something that's being imposed on them by the NFL. The Players Association and the NFL negotiated the way that this was going to go. And is there really anyone out there who thought that we would get through this season without some sort of hiccup or some sort of rescheduling or possibly even cancellations? I mean, the fact that a game has not been canceled yet blows my mind.
Yeah.
But to get to this point even of the season where we're talking, we've got through 2 months, more than 2 months, almost 3 months, without a game being canceled, without an outbreak, unlike what we've seen now with the Ravens, is a credit to both the league and the players and the staffs, who took this seriously. So I understand the point about the Steelers being upset about that. But if the worst that comes out of this is that you lost your bye week or your game had to be rescheduled several times, I mean, come on, guys, really? Really?
No,
that's what we're going to complain about?
Yeah, because so many people I run into always ask me, especially when you're at the gym, and I hate to talk sports. I just want to get to the gym and get it over with. But what do you think about the NFL's handling of this whole thing? And, you just answered it because the league and the Players Association and the players, everybody agreed to hey, let's go forward and let's play, and let's you got to replace bodies and whatnot, then you do it. So
Demario Davis, Big Daddy, not to interrupt, but he made an interesting point to me earlier this week, where he said, we're seeing teams now and players be fined over not having their mask on or whatever it may be. And his point, which was so pertinent, was he said, we are trying to teach new habits now, and that takes time. And so he understands why the NFL is being so diligent about this, in terms of, if we catch you without your mask, you're subject to fine, and teams are subject to possibly draft pick losses. But like he's saying, in a game, when I come off the field, I have been conditioned since I was 8, 9 years old, that here is what I do. And putting on a mask was never a part of that. So if you are now in your, say, early 30s, for 20 some odd years, you've been doing it one way, and it takes time to change behavior. And that was just one of his concerns about it, is he understands that why the league is being so forceful on this issue, but also at the same time, guys are trying. It's just that they have to learn a new behavior, and it takes time for that behavior to sort of become muscle memory, if you will, that this is how you respond.
So here's, after watching the game, the Monday night game between Seattle and Philly, I'm having a hard time believing, and you can give me your thoughts on this, that the NFC champion may be a team that's 6-10. What do you think about that?
I'm going to take it even one step further, Big Daddy. Not only is that possible, but if it were to happen, do not be shocked if that team wins a playoff game. So why do I say that? Because the last few times that we have had a team finish 500 or sub 500 and go to the playoffs, it has won its playoff opener, including Seattle one year, which was, I believe, 7-9. People were saying didn't belong in the playoffs. And in its opener, it defeated the defending Super Bowl champion Saints. And that was the year that Marshawn Lynch had the Beastquake run.
Yeah.
So what I've learned from history is, as much as I want to make fun of the NFC East and these teams that, are sub 500, when we get to the postseason, none of that matters. And history has shown us that the unthinkable can happen.
So do you think the NFL reseeds the playoff teams, or no?
I think it depends on how the regular season goes. If they get through an entire regular season without missing any games, etc., then I think it stays as is. But if they have to redo the schedule, let's say have an 18th week, or they don't get through all the games, then I think there's a possibility that we could have reseeding. The other thing that's interesting to me, Big Daddy, is the possibility of having playoff teams put in a bubble. And, I asked Demario Davis about that yesterday, and he said he would be in favor of that. If you could find, say, 2 cities where you put the AFC in one city and you put the NFC in another, and all those teams are there and they practice, there are the facilities there from a practice standpoint, hotel standpoint, all of that. He said he would be in favor of that. And I found that to be very interesting, that you have in it, because we're not talking about the NBA where you only have 12 players, basically. We're talking about teams with 53 plus.
Usually it's about 125 for an away game.
Yes.
You're with staff and ancillary and all that.
Yes.
So
I don't rule that out. I think, based on people I talk to, everything is on the table, and the league will adjust at the moment that it has to adjust. The one thing I learned, which was always I found to be a great way to sort of live your life, is Marty Schottenheimer once said to me when I was asking him about a potential quarterback change, and there was a lot of pressure on him to do it, and he didn't want to do it, and he hadn't tipped his hand which way he was going to go. And I'll never forget Marty in that baritone voice. Jim, the one thing I know is I don't make decisions until I have to make a decision. And I think the NFL right now is the same way. It's not going to make a decision until it has to make a decision.
Well, it's funny. We talk about the bubble. I had as one of my other guests was Barry Trotz, the head coach of the New York Islanders, and we got into the bubble life and how, basically you had all these teams pushed into, somewhere in Edmonton and somewhere in Toronto, and you were in this hotel with 600 rooms, and basically all the players were in there. But as the teams kept getting eliminated, then they were got through they got to the championship games before the Stanley Cup, and all of a sudden they're the last team standing in that hotel, and then they win their game 7, and then they have to fly from Toronto all the way to Edmonton and play the next day. Ooh. So that was, they did not fare well that game 1 when they got to Edmonton, but game 2 they were much better. And he was saying that it was so interesting being in that bubble, and how, he said he was laughing. He compared he saw this kid on a tricycle, this girl on a tricycle riding down the hallway, and he compared it to The Shining, when
Red rum.
Yeah,
red rum.
And I was like, oh man, that's a different comparison. And he said, yeah, well, when you're the only ones in the place, you have all the players, everything was there. They did everything there, and then went to the facility, did their skating and all that, and then the games, and he said it was great because everything was confined, but that's only 25 players and 4 coaches and a couple of trainers. That's it.
Right.
So in NFL, that you're going to have to find that'll make it interesting if they go that route.
Well, I tend to think it can be done. I mean, especially when I think Amy Trask was the first to bring this up during her show on CBS. You look at Los Angeles. When you talk about facilities, you talk about hotels, all of those things, that's definitely a city you can think about. If you wanted to, just as we saw with the NBA in Florida, you could find a spot to do that. So I think it can be done. Would it be easy? No. Would it be ideal? No. Would it go off smoothly? No. But I think, again, perspective is everything in this moment. And everyone is trying to make the best of a really bad situation.
Yeah.
And I think it just requires that we all have a little patience, a little understanding, a little empathy, and a lot of perspective.
So one of the segments that I add to this show, and you'll appreciate and laugh at the same time, is we have a food component to this. So being that we've shared a few meals, especially every time you come to the East, we would have to most definitely say that we have had the best pizza in New York a couple times. And, it's now that my diet is in a much limited capacity, we will still enjoy a few treats here and there when you come back East. And
Big Daddy, I will eat your share. How's that? We're going to Umberto's. I will take care of my share and yours. We're good.
You can most definitely. I have to get at least a bite in. I can't just sit there and watch the whole throwdown.
Right.
But
all right.
We'll behave, and I'll make sure that when I get my Huddle and Flow shirt, I want to be in a 2X. So
okay.
That's my goal. So
okay,
that'll give me something to look forward to and work towards as
all right.
June 2021 comes, and we'll go from there. But
that's a deal. So that is a deal.
I will keep you up to date on my workouts and weight loss or gain or whatever. I don't have gain anymore in my vocabulary. I've gotten to the point where I'm like this. I have focus. I'm totally into this thing. I'm addicted to it, actually, because everybody says to me, how do you get up? And I go, you know what? I have a clock and I wake up and okay, here it is. I got to do this. Then after I'm done with that, I got to shower. I got to make breakfast. Then I got to start work. And now, with Big Daddy and Friends adding on top of everything else I got going on, it's work, it's research, it's, doing all this stuff to make sure that I put on the, look, I'm not trying to win a Golden Globe or anything like that. I'm just trying to have fun and let people experience my world through all my friends.
But Big Daddy, what it is, what you were describing there to me is what we were talking about a little earlier, and that's a learned behavior. And you have now changed, your life, and you have adopted new behaviors that now are becoming like almost as, again, muscle memory, where when you wake up, this is what your body is accustomed to psychologically. You say you don't even have to say it to yourself. It's just kind of ingrained in you now that this is what I should be doing. It's like when I roll out of bed every morning, I know when I'm home, I got my dog and we got to go for a walk every morning. So during this pandemic, every morning, so what, it's been since March 18th, we're up and out between 6:30 a.m. and 7. And she, if I were not to get up, she would come wake me up to say, we got to go. So it's all about creating those habits, whatever it is, and you're creating positive habits, which is, they're going to benefit you long term. So props to you and keep it up, man.
Thank you. So, wow, this was great. And I'm so excited. And by the way, our man, Kevin Weeks, wanted me to make sure I said what's up. I told him I had you were coming on, and he's coming on tomorrow. So,
I love Kevin. Good dude, man. And see, Big Daddy, that's it. I know we're getting ready to get off here, but that's the thing with you that I appreciate as much as anything, particularly as we get older, we want to surround ourselves, hopefully, with good people, positive people, and trying to eliminate and keep at arm's length some of the negativity that's out there. Because there's so much, if you let it, particularly in the social media climate, it can overwhelm you. So whenever I get around people like you or Kevin or whatever, it's always a joy because it's just, everything comes from a good place. And I appreciate that. And I thank you for that. And I'm trying to get more people like that in my circle as I go forward, because life's too short, man, to deal with all that other drama and whatnot. And you start to realize that as you get closer to that finish line than you are that starting line. Yeah.
Well, that's the one thing I said. I made changes a year ago, and before coronavirus hit, and I'm sticking to those changes. And I'm not a yes man like I might have been in the past, because you can't save the world.
Right.
Everyone comes to you, and I'm not your celebrity or everybody just knows I know everybody. So you get a lot of requests, you get a lot of inquiries, and you get a lot of time. A lot of things that people waste your time, and they're not made to do good for other people. They're made to do only good for them.
Correct.
And it's always at your expense or my expense. And that's not what life's about. I mean, you know what? Today is, even though we're taping this, I know today is National Giving Back Day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can give back anything, whatever it is, 25 cents, a slice of pizza, whatever, to a child, I think that really goes a long way, and it shows what kind of person you are, and from no matter what background you come from or where you're at in life or whatnot. It's just, you have to realize that you have to care about people and realize that they are people. I think a lot of people don't look at it that way, because a lot of people are caught up in status and
sure.
It's funny. I told a story how I went from, driving an S500, and I drive a minivan. And you know what? I like my minivan more than any car that I've ever had in the past, because I fit in it comfortably. I can throw stuff in the back, footballs and my football camp and all this stuff. I mean, it's just, I appreciate that so much more now than I did probably 5 years ago.
No question, Big Daddy. It's a process. Look, I think we all go through that. And as we get older, hopefully we start to realize and not just realize, but embrace the things that are really important. And it's not all those superficial things. So it's funny you mentioned that, because my wife and I were having a discussion this morning. We were talking about Christmas. So she's been gathering up gifts for our kids who are grown, but she still likes to buy gifts. And I said, look, I don't need anything. You don't need anything. I said, what if we this year, and this is not a novel concept, but for us, we've just gotten to that point. I said, what if we donate to, and this will speak to you, and I learned a lot about St. Jude from you. I said, what if we donate to St. Jude, for Christmas, or we donate to food banks, because it's really blown my mind when I see these images of cars lined up for miles waiting on handouts from these food banks. And you think that should never happen in this country, where we've reached the point now where, man, people are hurting, truly hurting, and they're just trying to get by. And, and to line up for in food lines for hours and to sit there, it breaks my heart. So that was a conversation we had about, just trying to find a way to give back, consistently. And I hope everyone does, because I just, and I'll leave on this, Big Daddy, but I just hate the fact that everything has become so divided and so tribalized and everything. Just be kind to people, you know? It's not that hard.
You know what? I'll tell you, I did something that really shocked me, but I'm proud that I did it. I decided for hospice care, I learned about these kids that, they lose their parents, and, now Christmas is coming and whatnot. So I'm raising money to buy kids some gifts for hospice care. And I'm going to dress up as Santa Claus, and I'm going to bring the gift to the kids.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, it's funny. I found out already, one person donated a couple $100, and what they want in return is a picture of me in a Santa suit autographed. I'm like,
nice.
Like, that's all it takes. I'll get 100 copies of that, and I'll spread them around, and everyone could donate. And, the kids will wake up with a smile, at least. Whether it's one gift or 5 gifts, it doesn't matter. It's just the thought and the gift being there that will make a kid so happy and smile, and because that's what it's about.
Yes, sir.
We've all done great things, and we've been here and there, and I used to tell people all the time that if life was ended for me tomorrow, I could never leave this planet unhappy, because I've done some of the greatest things that most humans on this planet, with even all the money in the world, will never, ever do.
Well, Big Daddy, count me in. Send me the link on where to contribute. And then I want my photo as well.
Okay.
Afterwards. So I'm in.
Oh man, I can't wait for the photographer to take. As Michael Strahan would say to me, Big Daddy, you ain't no oil painting, so I can't wait for this picture. He'll probably be the first one to make fun of me too. But anyway, I got to say, hey Jim, thank you so much. To everyone that's watching the show, check out Jim Trotter, NFL Network. He is the man, and he's usually styling pretty good too. So when he's on there, so
we're gonna have a conversation about that, Big Daddy.
Oh yes.
You know when I'm having a conversation.
I know.
Okay.
Well, listen,
right.
I haven't had to wear anything. Look what I'm wearing, because no one wears suits now. I go to the tailors, the dry cleaner says to me, "You haven't been here in months." I'm like, I don't need to.
Nope, we're all in sweats and t-shirts,
Yeah, exactly. So on that note, I will say thank you again, and this was a great conversation, and I love you to death. And again, thank you for being here. It was awesome.
All love, Big Daddy. You know that anytime you need me, I'm here.
Thank you, and same here. So for everyone out there, this is Big Daddy. I hope you enjoy Big Daddy and Friends, and we'll see you soon. Have a great day.